great pleasure to introduce our 5-minute reader. In the past, she has had many adventures working in marine biology labs, teaching in South Korea, and getting paid to walk around cauliflower fields on several continents. Now she writes fantasy, cozy fantasy that is. She wants her books to give the feel of a friend telling a tall tale around a bonfire on the beach, the sea crashing on the sand, but there is hot cocoa in your hand and a blanket across your lap. Traveling Monsters, her first novel, is available at almost all local bookstores and is free to read on Kindle Unlimited.
All right, try to get this going. So this part is going to be told from Donya's point of view. She's the troll in the story, so just to set you guys up. Donya closed her mouth and looked back at him, her face a blank mask. He had her. She was weak. If she ate humans daily for 100 years, she would not gain the strength she would get from eating this one young man. Humans were not a troll's favorite food. Rusted sassafras seeds were, and they were more potent. She missed the harvest season this year, and they were difficult to find. All the seeds would be gone now. Fine, let us get to it, she said. Follow me, my tiny turnip-faced friend, Heldred responded with a smile that was cruel and cold. They walked along the dark streets. Humans were everywhere, and many of the females took notice of Heldred. He was tall, well-dressed, and walked with confidence. With his mouth closed, he looked almost entirely human. His movements were just a touch more graceful and a little fast. He never blinked, but one would need to stare to notice such behavior. Here we are, my abode for now, Heldred said as they approached a dilapidated hotel. Donya liked the look of the place. It stood solid, older than the buildings around it. She could feel its stones. They'd been transported here maybe 400 or 500 years ago. Heldred led her up the worn stairs, the centers lower from many feet passing over them through the years. He waited on the second floor. I found this tome in a local bookstore. It had been used to press flowers and forgotten. This spell works best for me with paper that has been against a flower. In most cases, I set this up myself. However, we lacked time, and I did not pack appropriately when you found me and begged for my assistance. He chuckled to himself as they stepped inside his suite. Donya was unsure what Heldred found funny. She did not respond, watching as he lit a white candle and set down the book. He reached into his black bag set against the table. It held several small envelopes. She could smell them, herbs. One was very distinctive, the woody stem of witch hazel ground to fine dust. Then he brought out 2 vials, one of rancid oil and one of the black sludge from the clearing. She needed to ask him about the material, but not now. Heldred leafed through the newly acquired book. Here it is. The page held a yellow petunia against it for many, many years. Very powerful. He ripped out the sheet, opened the envelope of powder, and scattered some on. Now I need you to concentrate with all the power of your tiny troll mind. You did not get their names, but see them as clearly in your memory as you can. You said the woman felt strange, that she made you feel hot and driven away. Think of this phenomenon. Feel it all again. Keep doing this until we get to where we need to go. He set down the paper, unstoppered the oil, placed 3 drops on his left palm, turned over his hand, and slapped it on the paper. It stuck to him, clinging to the oil, and he held it all over the flame. The old paper caught fire quickly, the flame light blue. The second vial he opened, then imbibed in one shot. She watched the blue flame as she let her mind fade into what he wanted. Donya thought back to both humans. They were middle height, skin still smooth as younger humans tended to possess. Nothing sagged yet. The redhead appeared older than the man by a few years. She had less fat on her cheeks. His hair was black and his skin a healthy brown. He had long enough hair to wear it tied back, a style not of this time, and he wore glasses that hid brown eyes. He smiled most of the time, his teeth very white. On the plane, he drank water. If Donya tried to think of his smell, trolls loved smells, she thought he smelled like icy water or snow as it melted. The woman had pale skin. She did not get enough light for a human. Her smell was of roasted grains and herbs, perhaps a touch of cacao. Pudgier than the average, she wore loose-fitting clothes to disguise the extra weight. It was harder to get her details because looking at her even made Donya's eyes feel hot. She used this to jump into the sensation emanating from the redhead, heat and revulsion. The level of both seemed to fluctuate. The revulsion Donya noticed as she approached them on the plane, but it became overwhelmed by the magnetism of the boyfriend. Then when the redhead looked up, it hit her like a wall. That was when the heat started. The room suddenly smelled damp. Donya felt space and time shift. She closed her eyes, continuing to concentrate, thinking of his high cheekbones and pure, warm heart. They drew towards the humans. This was not just a locator spell. It really would pull them to where the humans were. Her vision faded. Darkness ensued. Something audibly snapped near her. Then Donya was all wet and gasping. Her vision came back. They stood in the same room. Everything around them dripped water, and the table was cracked in two. What happened? We were almost there. Heldrick's brow wrinkled. He looked angry and spent. The Kraken happened. They are in Venice. She controls that city. We could not enter.